Hi everybody, welcome to Line of the Week number 125, Motif Development Using Melodic Rhythms. This week's line is based on a chord progression I wrote in the style typically found in jazz standards, but the ideas of motif development and resolving tension apply to all styles of music, all instruments. Here are the chords to the progression we're looking at today. The chords are C major 7, going to E7, going to A7, repeating A7 in measure 4, in measure 5, F major 7, then F minor 6, then D minor 7, then G7, resolving in measure 9 to C major 7. Here's how they sound on the guitar. Here are the chord scales I use. I use the notes from the chord scales for two things. First, as a source for notes for improvising, and secondly, to determine tensions I want to use for comping. The chord scales begin G pentatonic over the C major 7 chord in measure 1, then to F melodic minor. These are all parent scales, not modal names. Going to A7 is the next chord, and I'm using C half whole for measures 3 and 4. In measure 5, I use C major, and then F melodic minor, and then C major, and then A flat melodic minor, resolving back again in measure 9 to G pentatonic over the C major 7 chord. Here's the melodic rhythm I'm using this week. The motif is from Jerry Bergonzi's book, Volume 4, Melodic Rhythms, Used with Permission. Here's the line of the week with Guitar Pro backing track I use to make sure I'm getting the notes and the rhythm accurate. I'd like to say a few things about the line. First, in measure 1, I have the original motif. In measure 2, the original motif is stated again, same rhythm, different notes. In measures 3 to 4, I start with the original motif with a whole note extension going into measure 4. In measure 5, I've got a fragment of the original motif, meaning fewer notes. In measure 6, I've got another fragment of the original motif. In measure 7, a fragment of the original motif. In measure 8, I start with the original motif with a whole note extension going into measure 9. I'd like to also briefly mention resolving tension, which I try to stress in every line of the week. Circled in red, measure 1 going into measure 2, the B is going to B flat or inharmonically A sharp, and it's resolving by half step from the 7th in major 7 in C major 7 to the flat 5 in E7. Now, the B is not an avoid note in E7. In fact, it's a chord tone. But I still sort of resolve the B by half step to B flat because I'm trying to get an altered sound, not a Mixolydian sound. So I'm treating the B like it's an avoid note, and I resolve it by half step at the point of chord change so that I move smoothly into that altered sound. Secondly, also circled in red, in measure 8 going into measure 9, the F under G7 is resolved by half step to E under C major 7. and that's because, of course, the F is an avoid note to C major 7. Also, let me just say a word about triads. 2 triads happen to occur with the chord scale shape vocabulary I use. They're circled in red. First, there's an E minor triad under the C major 7 chord in the first measure. It comes from the G pentatonic chord scale. The second triad, the D sharp diminished triad in the third measure, comes under the A7 chord, and it comes from the C half whole chord scale that I decided to use. There are different alternatives you could use for these dominant chords, but I just showed you the ones that I'm using this week. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.